Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to season two of my Feelings Over Tea podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I am your awesome host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks. Today, I got an episode for you. We are talking about something that is so important, your voice, how it is celebrated at birth, but over time, how it gets silenced in different ways. And most importantly, how can you reclaim it to use it unapologetically in your life? So today, season two, we kicking in the doors, we coming out the gates. We're talking about the power of your voice. It is necessary. It is important. It is mandatory. And we're talking about it right here today. So let's jump into season two. I got a lot to share today on this topic. It's important to me, and hopefully, it's important to you. You find something that's a reminder for you, something that you need to hear, or something maybe that you need to share with someone else. So, let's jump into it. Here we go, right here and right now. Let's get started.
Welcome to my Feelings Over Tea podcast, where experts and everyday people will sip tea and spill the tea about all things life and mental health related. So grab yourself a cup of tea and join me, your host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks, for hot topics, helping you to cut through the muck of life and live your life well in my Feelings Over Tea podcast, right here and right now.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome back. Season two. We're here, episode one, season two. Today, we're talking about the power of our voice. In this piece of this show today, I want to talk about the celebration of your voice. And when we think about what happens in the beginning, when we are born, our first act in the world is what? It's to cry, right? It's the first time our voice is heard, and it's welcomed, it is celebrated, and it's noticed. The doctors are there, the nurses, the birthing parent is there, whoever is there, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmothers, best friends, whoever's in that birthing place is there, and everyone awaits that cry because that cry means we're alive and we're here. And it's that first cry, when you think about it, that first cry is a symbol of life. It's a symbol of identity, and it's a symbol of power. It's truly proof that we exist. And it marks our first moment of asserting ourselves into the world. So when you think about how we come into the world and everyone awaits that cry, that is our voice and this connection to life in that moment is we're told that our voice is important. It's the first tool that we use to communicate with everyone that I'm here, right? If it's a continual cry, there's a need, and everyone's racing around to cater to the needs of this precious child that's come into the earth, and the need is met. They're changing the diaper. They're trying to feed the baby for the first time. They're consoling the baby with the shushes and the the warm snuggles, and all the things that that baby needs in order to feel comforted. That first cry is our primary form of expression, even before we have words. And so what happens along the way, somewhere along the way, is we lose that connection to our voice. And that is why today I wanted to share this episode with you to really talk about what happens when we lose that connection, the silencing, if you will, of our voice. And I guess I was just thinking about when we're working on a really big project or we've got to get that last thing done, and then the dreaded da da da, you lose internet connection, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just lost the connection. And, you're screaming no, and oh my gosh, like, is your internet connection down? Is your connection down? Did we all lose connection? And it's really the worst thing because depending upon what you're doing, whether it's a call or a meeting or that's you're watching sports and then all of a sudden the internet goes out and you can't watch that final 2 minutes of the game because the internet is out, it can cause problems. So it's interesting when we become older into our adulthood and we lose this connection to our voice. Why does it not seem as important, right? Why, when we're born and everyone awaits that cry, and it's important that we cry, and it's important that people hear the cry, and there, if we go medically into why it's important for that child to cry at birth, there's so many reasons as to why. But I wonder why when people are silenced, and I wonder why when we don't hear the voices of the people how we used to hear them anymore, why is it not as much of a problem or a concern, if you will, than it was at birth? And so there's this pressure to be quiet as we grow. Our voices become less of a source of empowerment and more of something that's managed or controlled or even silenced. And when we think about from childhood through adulthood, we're often taught to stay quiet or don't speak out. The societal norms, when we think about how those play into the silencing of our voices, these societal norms and expectations for girls in particular, they're socialized to be good and to be polite, which sometimes translates to being silent or being submissive. We're often told to speak when spoken to, or that being loud or assertive makes us too much or too aggressive, right? I know in the Black community, and I'll just speak about this as I look back now as an adult growing up, there was this concept of stay in a child's place, only speak when you're spoken to. And these things, if you think about culturally, how that plays into sometimes the silencing of voices, you may yourself be thinking of a time or two or six where you were told that your voice is too loud or it's too much, or you seem really aggressive when you say no, or when you speak up for something that you're truly passionate about. And I guess I throw this caution out to think about how we're teaching our children, how we're teaching those in our communities and those around us to utilize their voice. What does that look like? Are we falling into these societal norms and expectations that say that we have to show up a certain way. And so for many people, as I was speaking earlier, there are these cultural, racial, or even gendered silences that can be imposed. And some voices are marginalized more than others. So as adults, the pressure that comes with keeping quiet forces people a lot of times to stay small. And even in like the professional realm, when you're playing it small or staying small, right, to just kind of go along with the norms that have been set for this particular office setting or this particular job or these gendered norms that show up. Staying small, playing small, it does show up in professional environments and in relationships and even in social circles. Sometimes we can see this. And we sometimes may feel like we don't have permission to speak up, whether it's in meetings or with family or in social settings. And so I again throw caution out to you to think about, why is it that I feel that I can't speak up? Was it something that someone once said to me? Is it something that I just became accustomed to? When I spoke earlier about staying in a child's place or only speaking when spoken to, I guess, had I listened to that, and this is probably me telling a lot about who I am as a person, but I remember speaking up a lot, even in elementary school, and having to write sentences because I spoke up about something. And even in my 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old days, I was already advocating for, well, that's not right. And I'm going to speak up for the class, or I'm going to speak up for this person, right? Because I knew the power of my voice. And I think in my growing up, it was taught to me that I did have a voice. I come from a very strong family who women had voices and they used them and they weren't afraid to use them. And in not only watching my mother and my grandmother and my aunts who spoke and used their voice unapologetically, I learned the power of my voice. And so I think that I also learned how and when to utilize my voice. And I think that when we're talking about silencing our voices, I don't think that I was necessarily silent. It was a chosen silent, but I knew that I could still speak up if I needed to. And so I kind of want to go back to just talking about like the professional setting for a minute, because there's so much like floating around on social media. And I'm glad, this is one reason why I'm glad that social media exists, because I see a lot of women connecting over their stories about not being able to utilize their voice and their voices being silenced, and women standing up and saying, I will no longer be silent. I'm going to speak up for what's right. I'm going to tell my story about what happened to me, or I'm going to speak about this or that. And I can appreciate people being able to connect with others about their stories, men, women, youth, humans, just in general, that you all are standing up and utilizing these platforms to voice and verbalize and communicate things that are important. And I guess I can't say it enough that we all have a voice. And I recently was talking with someone about the importance of our stories, and that our stories don't get heard if we don't speak about them. And so we never know what within our story is going to help or bless or encourage or inspire or save someone from the things that we're sharing. And I think the simple truth is that silence is often safer because we fear rejection, we fear punishment, or even judgment. But it's also a learned behavior, as I was talking about before. And then over time, we unfortunately get conditioned into thinking that our voices are less important or that we should use our voices sparingly. But I am here to tell you I just again think back to my younger self and just I don't know where I would be if I was not able to use my voice. Like it is it's a scary thought, and I've been in spaces and places and times in my life, so I don't want to paint this picture that I haven't been in places and spaces where people attempted to silence my voice. But I think coming out of our experiences, we're able to look back and say, what did I learn about myself? And I think that self-reflection is so critical because it allows you the ability to be able to say, okay, what did I learn about me? Now, what am I going to continue to do? What am I maybe not going to do anymore? How can I better myself moving forward? And so that reclaiming your voice, that reclamation of your voice and who you are is so critical. And what I think is important to know is that you deserve to be heard. Your voice matters. You matter. And every single time that you speak, you share a piece of your truth with the world. And that, my friends, is so valuable. Your perspective, your emotions, your insights are just as important as anyone else walking this earth. The world needs your voice to be fully expressed, whether it's in the workplace, in your home, in your personal life, within your social circles, or even in advocacy and whatever that looks like for you. But your voice deserves to be heard. All right. So I know this is a podcast and can't nobody see you. So if you're doing it, it is perfectly cool with me. But I want you to take your right hand and I want you to put it over your heart and I want you to repeat after me. My voice matters. I matter. And every time I speak, I am sharing a piece of my truth with the world. And my truth is valuable. And I deserve to be heard. So, all right, if you need to skip that back like 10, 20, 30 seconds, do it again and continue to repeat that over and over and over again until you believe it. You got this. So I know you're like, all right, Dr. NaKaisha, you're talking about all this voice and empowerment and me speaking up and being bold and unapologetically speaking my truth to the world, but how in the heck do I do it? Well, that's a very good question. And yes, this looks different for everybody. And yes, it doesn't happen overnight. It would be awesome, but you may not wake up tomorrow morning and just be like, da 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 da, superpower with my voice. Here I am, world, hear me. But you never know. I mean, you may wake up tomorrow and say, today's the day that I am going to start to use my voice. So you might wake up tomorrow and be wearing your cape and your voice has been reclaimed. So if that happens, I am so cheering for you because your voice matters. But aside from that, How do I start? How do I stand up and speak unapologetically? You can start small. If you've been silenced for a while, start finding places where it feels safe for you to speak up. It might be with a friend or a loved one. It might just be in a journal. I was talking to somebody earlier today about journaling and the power of journaling. Getting your words out on paper sometimes is just the best way to even know what's in your head. You may choose to get online and find different ways in which you can utilize your voice there, but build your confidence gradually. So, like I said, you're not taking this big, drastic measure to say that I'm going to just go boldly into the world and speak unapologetically if that's not somewhere that you've been recently, or for a while. But it may help you to start with something small and then work your way up as you feel safer and more comfortable to be able to speak more confidently. Another tip I guess I would give is just to know your worth. Reminding yourself that your thoughts, your feelings, and your experiences are just as valid as anyone else's, and your perspective is unique and powerful. So, I kind of talked about this before. When you don't know your worth, other people will not necessarily treat you a certain way or acknowledge you in a certain way because you're questioning who you are. And so you have to remind yourself that you belong wherever it is with the voice that you have just as much as anyone else. And I don't care if it's a squeaky voice, a high voice, a low Barry White tone voice. I don't care what the voice is, but what matters is that you're utilizing your voice to be heard. Practice self-compassion. This is like one thing that when I was thinking about this show, self-compassion was one of those things that came up, which I've kind of just hit on a little bit, but I'll dig a little bit deeper with this. But practicing self-compassion says it is okay if I don't speak up every single time. It is. It's okay if I stumble, right? But speak kindly to yourself as you're practicing using your voice on a regular basis. One of the things that I've heard people say is, I don't speak up because I'm just afraid that I'm going to stumble over my words. Well, I'd rather stumble over my words while I'm trying to get something out that's important to me than holding it in and not saying what needs to be said and stewing over it for days, weeks, months, or years and never having said what needed to be said. So, yes, if I got to stumble my way through it, then let's stumble. Okay. Because you not speaking up for yourself, you not using your voice, you not thinking, well, I guess you thinking about what the other side or a community or whatever, what they're thinking about you, if that matters to you, that's a whole other kind of beast that we need to address. But you just got to get out there and do it and be kind to yourself, right? There have been many of times where I've stumbled over my words when I've maybe had to have a really important conversation. Why? Because your nerves get in the way. No one on this earth is exempt from being nervous a little bit, and it could be excited nervousness, and sometimes it's just full on anxious nervousness where we're like, oh my gosh, like I stumbled over every single sentence, but I got through it. And that's what matters. And then we want to set boundaries. So we don't let people dismiss or silence us. So we're going to get that right hand up again and we're going to put it over our chest because we're going to claim some things in this episode today. All right. We are not going to let people dismiss or silence us. So, with that right hand over your chest, I want you to say, I will not let people dismiss me, and I will not let people silence me. And if someone interrupts you or dismisses your input, assert your right to finish your thought. Boundaries are the key to protecting your voice. I'll say that again. Boundaries are the key to you protecting your voice. So be assertive. And again, this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of the show. Sometimes when you speak up, people are like, why you being so aggressive? Ain't nobody being aggressive. This is me using my voice. And clearly, I've struck a nerve with you because you're saying that I'm being aggressive when I am just simply making a statement. Period. Dot. End of story. So we got to set those boundaries. Don't let people dismiss or silence you. Finally, be brave and be bold. Be brave and be bold. If you feel the fear of speaking up, remember that it's okay to feel afraid. It's okay to stumble. Remember, I just talked about that. It's okay to stumble. It's okay to feel afraid, but do it anyway. Take action, even in the presence of fear. So I'm Christian and I speak a lot about doing it scared. Faith without works is dead. So we have to have faith, but we also got to mix it with action. We have to do something in order for that faith to be activated. So when we're talking about being brave and being bold, like I said, you may be doing it afraid, but you got to do it anyway. But you also have to take action in the presence of fear. You cannot let fear overcome you and not speak up. Yes, there are a lot of things in this world that we're fearful of, and especially when we're talking about being in the workplace and you want to speak up about an injustice or you want to speak up for yourself because of a situation that happened and you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Yes, that is scary stuff, but you have to do it, right? And sometimes it is the way in which we say that thing that needs to be said, right? You can't just go into your boss's office and throw your papers down on the desk and sit down in the chair and kick your feet up on their desk because you're probably going to get a nice fat pink slip that says goodbye, you no longer work here. But to think about, how do I want to deliver this message? I often say, how do you want to show up? When we're talking about using our voice, that is 1000%. How do I want to show up? So envision yourself in a situation where you have to use your voice. How do I see myself having this conversation with this person? What am I wearing? How do I want to fix my hair? Or do I want to wear a tie? Or envision yourself having that conversation. What do I look like? Am I smiling? Am I serious? But envision yourself being bold, standing there, stepping forward, unafraid, maybe a little afraid, and that's okay. But taking that step to speak up. Practice saying no in situations where you might feel pushed to silence your words or your needs. Saying no is one of the most powerful ways that we can utilize our voice and reclaim our power. No, 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 absolutely not. No, no, no. I'm saying it with a smile on my face. And I don't know if y'all can hear the difference in all of those no's, but they were very different, but I meant all of them. No. And sometimes it's a no, 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 no. You got to get all the no, 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 nuts in there and say, no, 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 no. So practice it. Just practice saying no. Another practical tool that you can use as we're talking about utilizing our voice is to journal or meditate on what it is that you want to speak. And then practice acknowledging your voice. Listen to your voice. Maybe as you're saying this, kind of going over in your mind what you want to say, but hear yourself and you'll feel that confidence come forth as you're speaking these words. So, again, I talk about journaling, I talk about meditating, I talk about you might even get in front of the mirror and just look at yourself, right? It's interesting because when you get in front of that mirror and you go to have this conversation or just speaking so that you become more comfortable with your words, you may not even notice or know anymore that person that's looking back at you because your voice may have been missing for so long that when you look in the mirror, you may say, I don't even know that person anymore. And let me just tell you that that is okay. Because in recognizing that you don't know the person that you're looking at any longer is an awareness that something has shifted, something has changed, and something needs to change, if that makes sense. So I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, I don't even recognize her anymore. That says to me, something needs to change. Somewhere along the lines, have I lost my voice to the point of where I don't even recognize who I am anymore? And if your answer is yes, it's time for you to think about what do I need to do to reclaim my voice? So, as a treat to all of you that have just taken the time to get to this point in the episode today, I want to share a meditation with you to help you connect with the power of your voice. And this is how I'm going to close today's episode with this short meditation that's designed to inspire you to use your voice unapologetically. This meditation, I pray or hope, will help you to connect with your inner strength, reclaim your voice, and give you the confidence you need to speak your truth. So, as you're listening, I want you to just find a quiet, comfortable space, and you might be sitting. You may choose to lie down, but I just want you to find a space where just for a few minutes you can be undisturbed. If you are driving and you're listening to this, either pull your car over or put this episode on a pause because I want to keep you safe. And if you're somewhere where there's a lot of noise or distractions, you may choose to just come back to this meditation when you have time to fully be one with the words that I will speak. So close your eyes and take a deep breath in and out. And inhale deeply, filling the air into your lungs. And exhale slowly, releasing any tension that you may feel. Again, a deep breath through your nose and hold it for a second. And slowly exhale through your mouth. And now place one hand on your throat, gently and feel the vibrations of your breath as you inhale and exhale. This is the area of your body where your voice resides. Feel the warmth, the energy, and the power there. With each breath, imagine your voice growing stronger, more confident, and clear. And visualize your words coming from your throat with ease, ready to be heard. Or repeat quietly to yourself, my voice matters. My words have power. I am worthy of being heard. I speak my truth with confidence and grace. Again, my voice matters. My words have power. I am worthy of being heard. I speak my truth with confidence and grace. Feel these words resonate within you. And as you breathe, allow this affirmation to strengthen your belief in your own voice. Now, imagine any fear or doubt you've held about speaking up being gently released with every exhale. Let go of any anxiety, judgment, or guilt surrounding your voice. Breathe in confidence and exhale any barriers speaking your truth. Again, breathe in confidence and exhale any barriers to speaking your truth. See yourself in moments of your day ahead, whether it's at work, in your relationships, or you may simply be with yourself, standing tall and speaking with clarity. Your voice is heard and you are respected. Feel the strength in your words and know that your voice has power. You are free to speak, to share, and to express yourself without fear or hesitation. As we close this meditation, take one more deep breath in and slowly exhale through your mouth. And a final inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And slowly, when you feel ready, gently open your eyes and carry this sense of empowerment with you throughout the rest of your day. And so it is. Mm, it was beautiful. Just take a moment to bask in the beauty of this moment that you've given yourself, to reclaim your voice, to see yourself speaking boldly and unapologetically as you continue your life's journey. Today, we've explored the power of your voice from birth, where it is celebrated, to adulthood, where it is sometimes silenced. But I want you to remember that your voice is important. You have every right to be heard and to speak your truth. So I encourage you to take the steps that we discussed today. Start small. You don't have to do this big, grand thing, but start small, practice speaking up, and reclaim your power. Your voice is beautiful, and the world needs to hear what you have to say. So I want to thank you for joining me and listening to today's episode of Your Voice Matters. This is season 2, y'all. Season 2, episode 1. I am your host, Dr. NaKaisha Tolbert Banks. I am excited that you have joined me. I pray that there is something that blessed you today. Please share and like this episode, the podcast, with other people. My ultimate goal is just to continue to serve through words so that you hear my voice and there is something that can help you wherever you may be. So remember, speak your truth unapologetically. And until next time, y'all, thank you for joining me on my Feelings Over Tea podcast. See you soon. I'm out.